Hello and welcome to Craft with Sarah. In today's Advanced Design Space tutorial, I'm going to show you how to make this retro sunset design directly in Design Space. These retro sunsets, also called vintage sunsets, are really popular at the moment. I keep seeing designs and t-shirts with them on pop up all over the place, and I thought it would be really good to learn how to make my own in Design Space. So I did that to make this little dinosaur image, and now I'm showing you how you can make your own as well, using any image that you want. It doesn't have to be a dinosaur. Whatever you want to put in there will work brilliantly. I'll also show you how to add more or less sections if you want different colours in your sunset. So you might want maybe 7 or 8 different segments. You can do that really easily. And of course, it's up to you if you want to put the text underneath. That's all included in this video. Let's get started. I'm going to start by going to Shapes and then choosing a circle. I'm going to resize this circle nice and big, so I'm going to make it 8 inches. I'm going to draw the lines which I'm going to use to slice the circle into different sections. There's a trick to do this to make sure all of your sections are exactly the same size. Go into Shapes and choose Square. I'm going to move this over to the side so you can see and change the colour to something bright so that it doesn't get lost in the grey of the circle. To resize the square into a rectangle, click on the padlock icon on the bottom, and now you can resize it out of proportion to make a long, thin rectangle. Make it so that it's wider than the size of your circle, and then use the box at the top to set the height. This is going to be the gap between each of the colours in our circle, so I'm just going to make it 1/4 of an inch tall so that mine will have a thin gap between them, but you can make that bigger if you want your colours to have a bigger gap to show the colour of the t-shirt or whatever it is you're putting it on through there. So in order to get these sections all different sizes, the trick is to put one of these rectangles at the very top of your circle, right click on it and duplicate, and then put one right at the bottom. So these rectangles are sat outside of the circle, but we've got one at the top and one at the bottom. We now need to duplicate them again to create the sections in the circle. Why isn't it letting me move this one? There we go. Roughly place them where you want them to go, but you don't need to worry about getting them exactly lined up because we're going to use a special little trick in a minute. I want 5 sections on my circle, which means I need to put 4 of these lines in the middle. So you can see now I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 segments, but the spacing is all different between them. I want it to look the same because that'll be neater. So go into your layers panel, press the shift key down on your keyboard and select all of the rectangles you've put on there. Go to the align tool in the top and then press distribute vertically. Now you notice a little shift there. What that's done is it's changed the rectangles so that each one has exactly the same gap between it. And the reason that worked is because we put one at the top and the bottom. I don't need the top and the bottom rectangles now, so I'm going to go ahead and delete them. And then so that, I just duplicated instead of deleted. And then to make it so that I don't accidentally move these blue rectangles, I'm going to select all the layers. So press weld down the bottom, and now all of your rectangles are on one layer. For now though, we're going to add the images that we want to cut out of the circle before we start slicing things. And that's because it makes it easier for us to move things about and change what images we put on there before we start slicing. Go into images and choose what you want to put on there. I'm going to do a dinosaur. I know in here somewhere there is a nice kind of silhouette image of a dinosaur, which I'm going to choose. Here we are. Make it a nice bright colour that's different to anything you've got on your screen so far, and then play about with the size and the position until you're happy with where it's looking in your circle. It's helpful that we've already got our blue rectangles to show where the gaps in the circle are going to be, so you can position the shapes that you put on to make sure the important details aren't going to be contained in one of these rectangles, because if they are, then they'll be cut out when we slice it and you won't see them. So for example, I probably wouldn't want my dinosaur positioned there because the eye is going to get sliced out because we're not going to have that blue rectangle of space. So instead I'm going to move him up so that I've got the different parts of him available in the colour. I'm also going to add some grass down the bottom. So again, go into images and have a little search for whatever it is that you want to put on your image. I just want a few little bits of grass, so I'm going to go for those two, I think. It's easiest to make these the same colour as the other parts of the image, because when we put it all together we're going to weld them together as one. So by having it the same colour, it just makes it a bit easier to visualise what's going to be where. When you're happy with all the images you've put on, you need to weld them together. So select all the layers of the images you've put on. So mine is the dinosaur and the bits of grass. Go down to the bottom and click Weld. That's now put them as one image, so you can see it's just one layer, which means it's going to be easier for us to slice. Before we start slicing anything, I'm going to add a grunge effect to this, because with a lot of these retro sunset designs that are out there already, the vinyl that's used has a kind of distressed or grunge effect on it. It's got little specks taken out of it, which adds to that vintage or retro feel. Now, you don't have to do this step. If you don't want a grunge effect on your vinyl, then you can leave this step out. Equally, if you're using vinyl that has the grunge actually on the vinyl itself, so you can buy distressed vinyl, then you don't need to do this step because your vinyl already has it on there. There's also a trick you can do where you can cut this on regular vinyl, and then you can use the edge of a pair of scissors to grunge it up after you've cut your design without actually making it part of the design space. So there's 3 different ways you can add the grunge. There's using distressed vinyl, there's distressing the vinyl physically yourself, or there's the version I'm about to show you, which is doing it straight onto the design in Design Space. There's a website called pixabay.com which offers free graphics which you can use. I'll put the links to these 2 in the video, but I found 2 kind of grunge style images here which would work. Now this one would probably give you a better effect because there's a lot more variation in the speckles, but I tried this, and because the dots around the edge are so small, it's going to take you a really long time to clean this image up in Design Space because your Cricut machine can't cut that small. It's going to have problems, so you'd need to remove all of those manually, and it took me about half an hour just to do that. But you can do that one. You can use this one if you've got a little bit of patience because it will give a better effect. But if you'd rather do it a lot quicker, then there's this one instead. All you'll need to do on this one is remove some of the bigger ones, but I'll show you how to do that. So click free download and then download the 1280 by 917 one. It will download straight to your computer, so then you can go into Design Space, click on Upload, drag in the image that you just downloaded, and you need to click on Simple and then continue and continue again, and then make sure you click to save it as a cut image. Click on Save, and now you've got the picture down here which you can insert. Again, I'm going to make this a different colour to everything that's on there already, and it needs to be a little bit smaller, and then just position it over your circle. Now as this is, I'm just going to hide those. This wouldn't really work at the moment with these great big bits in here. It's going to cut such big bits out of the vinyl that it's not going to show the circle underneath. So we need to remove the really big splotches and just have the little ones left. To do this, go into the contour tool on the bottom right of the layers. It takes a little bit of time to load, but once you've got it, you can zoom in and then just click on the bigger bits of the splatter, and that's going to hide them from your circle so they won't get cut out. I'm just taking all these massive bits off because I don't want huge massive gaps in my vinyl. I just want the smaller bits to give a little bit of a grungy effect. I'm just going to do it once more with my lines back on so I can see if there are any that are overlapping that I might not want, but I think that's fine. I'm just going to take out a couple more of these bigger ones. Oops, I've got the wrong layer selected. If you zoom out before you click into contour, it means if your screen's big enough, you can still see a portion of the original, which can make it a little bit easier to see what you're taking out. Some of these really tiny ones, you might want to click to take them out as well. So it's a bit like what I said earlier. These are so small, your Cricut's not going to be able to cut them, and it might cause your vinyl to tear. So for some of these really diddy ones, just click on those to remove them as well, so that your Cricut won't try to cut them. So it's up to you how long you spend doing this to get rid of all the little bits. Obviously, the more time you spend and the more of these tiny little tiddly pieces you take out, the better chance you have of doing a clean cut on your vinyl. But if you want to risk it and leave them in, then of course that is entirely up to you. But just remember, you're going to have to weed all these circles, so the tiny ones will be very difficult to weed, as well as difficult to cut. So I'm just going to leave that for now as an example. I probably would go and take some more of those out, but for now that's fine. I don't want all of these blotches of purple that are sitting outside of the circle, so to get rid of those, select the circle layer that you've got showing, so the one where the eye is open, and then press Ctrl on your keyboard and press the splatter image, and then down the bottom click Slice. If I just hide the circle and go through and hide these new layers, you can see what it's done. It's cut out the splatters from the circle. If I put the circle back on, here it is with those splatters taken out. So I don't need the slice results or the purple one anymore. All I need is my grey circle with these grunge splatters already gone. The next thing we want to do is slice out our main image. So I'm going to drag it to the top, and then actually before I do that, I've just noticed that that's going to have a weird bit in the dinosaur's mouth. So click, if that happens, click into contour again and zoom in and just take out any pieces that are going to look a little bit strange with your image on there, because you don't want it to look weird with the grunge bits being cut out of your main image. So I'm just going to go and hide some of them. I probably should have done this check before I sliced out the grunginess, but it doesn't matter because we can fix it now. Alright, there we go. So now I'm going to slice the dinosaur out of the circle. So exactly like we did before, select the image layer and the circle that's already got all the grungy bits cut out. Click on Slice, and that will cut it out. So if I hide these top 3 layers, and if I just hide that, now our circle has our dinosaur and the grass at the bottom all cut out, and it's also got the grungy bits cut as well. There's just one thing left to do now, which is to slice out the different rectangles. So again, I'm just going to delete these old layers we don't need anymore. Turn on the rectangles and move it to the top. We're ready to slice this, so get your rectangle selected and the circle with the image cut out, and again press Slice. Hide these slice results till you've just got the circle. And here it is, it's really starting to take shape now. But we want to make each of these segments a different color. So if I just delete these old slice results, we now need to chop this main image into the 5 different sections. Go over to Shapes and choose Square. Make it a nice bright color so you can see it, and then untick the padlock icon and click and drag so that it completely covers the first part of the dinosaur image. Select both layers and press Slice. If we then delete these first 2 slice results, you can see that we've now got our first section cut out separately, so we can change the colour of that to the first part of the rainbow effect on the sunset image. And then we just need to do exactly the same thing again. So choose a square, make it a nice bright colour so you can see, and then size it so that it completely fills the second part of the section. It doesn't matter if you go into the white at the bottom, just make sure you don't go into the colour of the previous or next sections. Select your square and your main image, so the one that hasn't been coloured yet, and press Slice. Delete those first 2 slice results, and then with the next one you can change that to be the next colour. I'm going to go through a little bit quickly now and just do the same thing again for those other 3 sections. Just realised I got the colour of that last one wrong. It should have been yellow to do colours of the rainbow. Okay, and now I've just got one left, so I don't need to slice that one. I can just change the colour. And there we have it. Our let's change the colour of that one. Our retro sunset image is now ready. We've cut out our image from the middle, we've changed the colours, and we've got a little grunge effect where we've got the circles cut out. And that'll let the colour of the t-shirt or bag or whatever it is you're putting this on show through, which will look really good. Now with a lot of these retro sunset designs that I've seen, the bottom layer actually isn't shown, and they just leave it as a kind of semicircle here, and then at the bottom they put some text. So to do that you can just add in some text and then change it to whatever font you want it to be. I think that's quite a nice one which goes with what I've put. And then you can change the colours of the font. I might go yellow actually, and then make the background red. There we are. And now this would be the image that I would use. So here's our final finished retro sunset design with the dinosaur cut out from the middle. I hope you've enjoyed watching this tutorial. I have other Design Space tutorials like this available on my YouTube channel, so please subscribe to my channel to make sure you never miss a future video, and check out my other videos for more Design Space inspiration. Thank you for watching, and I hope to see you next time.